season of discovery is finally upon us. Today we're looking at Holy Paladin, one of my favourite specs to play. I'm going to take you through everything from runes, gear, stat priority, and rotation, etc. But before we get started, please click that little subscribe button below to subscribe to my channel. It helps me help you by supporting me so I can do all of these guides for you guys. Now, the first thing we're going to look at is going to be races, and quite frankly, choose human. If you're Horde, you can't be a paladin, and you can be a human or dwarf. With the mace and sword specialization from humans, this is like the best, and especially if you want to change to retribution down the line, it's going to be a huge DPS increase for that. But anyway, we're talking about Holy today, so yes, I would say choose human. If we're looking at the stat priority for Holy Paladins, which we are, then number one is always going to be healing power, making your healing spells more powerful. Second is going to be that, old favorite intellect here, crit chance, MP5, and stamina or spirit being the last. Spirit is going to be mana regen, but it's not really that useful. Stamina giving you some more health. If you don't know what MP5 is, this is mana per 5 seconds, and this is of course going to help with your mana regen. The most exciting part about Season of Discovery is, of course, discovering all these new exciting runes. So the 3 I would recommend for Holy, and you can do more like hybrid builds of Holy, but the build I'm going to be showing you today is a purebred healer build. And we're going with Divine Storm, Beacon of Light, and Divine Sacrifice. Divine Storm, first of all, is an AoE damage spell, and it's going to heal your nearby allies for 25% of the damage done. This is a very general rune that we're going to be taking, and you can kind of use it as a filler spell. It is also going to help you do some damage to bosses and enemies. For one, if people don't need healing, you can use this. And also, if there's only light healing needed, the damage done being transformed into healing, of course, is going to mean that you can still do DPS while keeping everyone topped up as well, which I think is a no-brainer. It's like 2-in-1 situation here. For your glove slot, the really obvious option for Holy is going to be Beacon of Light. This is an all-time Paladin favorite that we're still using today in retail. And quite frankly, what you're doing is making somebody a Beacon of Light, meaning that any heals you cast on anyone else are also going to heal the beaconed person for 100% of the amount healed. The only thing is that only one person can become Beacon of Light at a time, which is pretty obvious because if we could put it on everyone, then we'd only ever have to heal one person. Wouldn't that be great? Divine Sacrifice is the last one, and this one is really, really interesting. To put it bluntly, it does 30% of the party damage redirection to you as the Paladin. So 30% of all damage taken by the party is going to be redirected to the Paladin. If, however, the Paladin then takes enough damage from this that you are reduced to 20% health, it's going to then cancel that effect. And then for the next 10 seconds, you're actually going to do an increased 10% damage and healing. So it's a really, really interesting rune in how this works. The only downside here, before you get any ideas, is that it cannot be used if you are under the effects of Blessing of Protection, Divine Shield, Divine Protection, and it does prevent you from being targeted by those abilities while it is up, so you can't get out of that damage being done to you. If you're not quite sure about taking this, there is another option that you could take situationally, depending on how you want to play, and that is Rebuke. This is an interrupt rune for Paladins, which of course could be really useful for interrupting, but if you do want to go full Holy, then Divine Sacrifice would be the way to go, so I'll leave that one up to you. For the gear then, one of the best places you can go as any type of healer in Season of Discovery is Shadowfang Keep. This is going to drop the Feline Mantle, Robes of Aragol, and Belt of Aragol from Nando's and Aragol bosses. So this is a really good place that you can get some gear all in one place. A lot of the other things you can see on my screen here, like the Black Velvet Robes, the braces, and the boots, these are all BOEs, and if you're lucky, you could just get these on the auction house. Tailoring is going to be offering the most intellect kind of gear, and I would say that is the best profession. Again, a lot of it is BOE anyway, so you don't have to use it yourself, but there are some really great items out there if you are rich enough to afford them without you really having to do much. The Lawkeeper's Ring down here is an interesting one. This is honoured from the Silverwing Sentinels or the Warsong Outstriders, which is an honoured reputation from Warsong Gulch reputation. So if you don't want to do any PvP, then you're not going to be able to get that. However, if you do want to put in the effort to get that, it's a really, really good ring, giving you increased damage and healing and effects by up to 5 and restores some mana for you. Rounding it all up then, let's look at the talents and rotation. This is again a full holy build, remember? We're putting our first 5 points into Divine Intellect in the top of the holy tree, increasing our total intellect by 10%, which is a huge increase. On the second row, it's all going to go into Spiritual Focus, which gives our Flash of Light and Holy Light spells a 70% chance to not lose casting time when you take damage. Really useful on that one. On our third row then, we're going on the left for Healing Light, increasing the amount healed by our Holy Light and Flash of Light by 12%. That again is huge. And 2 points going into Improved Lay on Hands, giving the target of your Lay on Hands spell a 30% bonus to their armor value from items for 2 minutes, which is a really, really good support talent. In addition, the cooldown of your Lay on Hands is reduced by 20 minutes, which is insane. If you do think, oh, you know what, actually I can do a bit of damage, you could take 1 point out from somewhere else and put it into Consecration, which of course is going to be a large AoE damage dealer that you can put on the floor, which is going to be there for 8 seconds, where you could then be doing healing in that time. But again, if you are going full holy, then use the build I'm showing here. And then our last point is going to go into Improved Blessing of Wisdom, increasing the effect of that by another 10%, which is of course really useful. So the way we're actually going to use it, as a paladin, we have some really amazing tools in our toolkit, one of them being Blessing of Protection and the other being Lay on Hands. If someone is in serious danger, don't feel like you can't use these. These are amazing and are there to use, even though the cooldowns are high. Then, of course, going into combat, we are going to put on our beacon onto somebody. Always make sure this stays up. This is your Beacon of Light rune, remember? And I would say generally put it on the tank, meaning that whenever you're healing any of the other party members, you're always going to be keeping that tank topped up no matter what. One less thing to worry about is a thumbs up in my book. If somebody's taking heavy damage and you need to get some healing out, I would say then to use Holy Light for that one, with Flash of Light being your kind of more go-to spell in more moderate times of healing. Don't forget then that you can also, with our Divine Storm rune, be doing some damage and healing in light healing times. And regarding the aura that you should be using, if they are taking a ton of damage, Devotion Aura is going to be the one to go to for reducing that damage. Or if you want to speed up the clear times, then I would just go with Retribution Aura. It really is just going to depend on the situation that you're dealing with at hand. And that is pretty much it, guys. That is how you're going to play Holy Paladin in Season of Discovery. Again, please do click that subscribe button because I really appreciate it and it helps me out, helps me grow, and helps me do more videos like this for you. And of course, join my Discord where we have lots of other Season of Discovery and retail players playing all the time.